Hi there. Welcome to Productivi-Tree. I'm Santi Tacoronte, and I'm here to help you succeed and be happier. In each episode, we'll explore new ways to work smarter, manage your time better, and grow as a person. We'll share fresh ideas, find ways to improve, and help you become your best self at work, in life. Join me as we learn and grow together on Productivi-Tree.
Today's guest is David Prosper, a clarity architect, leadership coach, and author of Finding Clarity, Your Guide to Peace, Purpose, and Prosperity. Prosper helps leaders, entrepreneurs, and creators escape confusion, break free from stagnation, and design lives they're proud to live. Through his Clarity Catalyst Solutions framework, he has guided countless high achievers towards greater peace, purpose, and performance. Get ready for an inspiring conversation about intentional living and the power of clarity to transform your life and leadership. David Prosper, welcome to Productivi-Tree.
Yes, thank you so much for having me, Santiago.
David, why is clarity such a rare and crucial skill for people and young people today, and why is it so important?
That's such a good question. It's a rare and crucial thing, and it's important because clarity is focusing on what truly matters, especially when it comes to young people. There's so much stuff that's out there that's saying, this is important, this is important, this is important. I remember when I was in college, my college profession, my degree is in communication, and my professor would always teach us, the media doesn't tell us how to think, but what to think about. So if everything is constantly in our face of this is urgent, breaking news, this is urgent, is getting us to focus on the wrong things versus focusing on what really matters, like our relationships, our community, our values. Just like in this last election, it made us focus on a lot of the problems versus focusing on how can we solve them. So when young people are constantly bombarded with information that's urgent, they stop focusing on what really matters. And when they stop focusing on what really matters, they become like a bottle in the ocean, just getting swayed and tossed by every emotion and every agenda versus being an anchor.
What do you think is causing this widespread lack of clarity in our society?
I would say that's such a good question. I would say it starts in grade school, right? I remember when the teacher would ask a question and the kids would raise their hand and answer, and we get praise for having the right answer, but we get shunned when we think outside of the box. So it's better to comply and be conformed versus to seek clarity and ask questions. I'm like, hold on, that doesn't make sense. Questions and curiosity never got the right amount of nurture and support, and compliance was often praised. So it starts in grade school.
What does living by design and not by default mean when you have so many options? How do you design your life?
The kids are gonna love this, and adults too. It's like playing with a box of Legos and or creating a puzzle. Before you start creating the puzzle, you see the picture on there, and then you start taking the pieces and you start putting the pieces in the right place. That's the same thing with our own lives. Like, we all have a unique purpose. We all are created to do something. It's our goal to figure those things out, to figure our purpose, and then start piecing those things together. And designing a life is saying, okay, I am intentional about what I'm doing. I am purposeful in creating. I am present in the space versus I'm just doing this because my family's always done this. I'm doing this because this is the way it's always been. It's like every Disney movie. It's like, well, this is the way it's always been. It's always been. So we're doing things. It's like this phrase, this old story. This grandma, this daughter is making Thanksgiving dinner, and she uses a pot that's really small. And then the kid asks, "Mom, why are you using this pot that's so small?" It's like, well, my mom's always done that. And I cut the legs off, and I put it in this thing. And then the the parent continued to ask, like, past generations, why did we do this? And the great grandma said, because this is the only thing we had. So we get stuck in the system, never questioning why we're doing it because it's the way it's always been, versus starting to do things based off our values, based off how we're created, based off our talents, and based off how can we serve the world with greater purpose.
What are the things you are questioning yourself these days, David?
I am questioning, like, why am I so different? And sometimes I tell my assistant and my team, sometimes I wish I could just like conform and just not hyper analyze things and see things past what it is. So when my mother was alive, I would often ask her, "Mom, why am I so different? Why don't the things like the surface level conversations, why doesn't it do something for me? Like I get annoyed of surface level conversation, and I'm always looking for like deeper, enriching, expanding conversations. So I'm questioning all the time, like, why am I so different? But as I pray and as I reflect, I'm like, I'm different to help others step into their differences.
Your own story involve being and feeling stuck despite being successful. It's a very successful person. How can young people relate to the, what do you call, the messy middle?
Ah, the messy middle is a beautiful place. And I've achieved a lot of success in my life, and I remember being at the top of the corporate ladder. I was top manager. I was general manager of a store. I was making really, really good money. Um, but I didn't feel that I was maximizing my purpose. I didn't feel that I was utilizing all of my gifts and talents. And I felt like a cog in a wheel. And the messy middle is where I'm at and where you'll be at and where you want to go. And it's taking that next step. There's a lot of uncertainty, and there's this myth around clarity that I hear and I see is just like, you don't have to have clarity in order to take the next step. What I think they're trying to say is you don't have to have the entire picture to move forward. So clarity is simple. It's taking the next right step. And the messy middle is I don't know what's going to happen tomorrow, but I know what I'm doing today. It's equivalent to going in your basement and turning on the light and taking that step on the staircase. You know, eventually you'll get to the bottom of it, but you have to take that step. And that step looks like either exploring a new topic. That step looks like having a deeper conversation with someone who seems like they have clarity and confidence. So as a former corporate leader, one of the things I realized is a lot of my subordinates and the people who were under me, they had these aspirations like, oh, I want to be in leadership. But what I learned is like when you're climbing a ladder, make sure you're climbing the ladder to the right building. And I wasn't doing it. And it was draining. It wasn't fulfilling. Like I started aging faster, and as soon as I walked away and started doing what I love, yes, there's stress and there's frustration and anxiety, but I'm choosing those things versus those things being chosen for me.
Let's talk about the other end of clarity, confusion. Lots of people mistake confusion with doubt or failure. Because they are confused, they think they're a failure. How can people reframe this mindset and recognize that being confused is okay?
Yeah, that's a good question. I like that. So failure is the prerequisite of success, and failure is not achieving that mark, right? That's my definition of it. But confusion is just uncertainty for how things work. And if we're combining confusion with failure, we're saying, okay, I don't know how it works, so therefore I haven't achieved it. And one of the things when I used to be an educator back in 2020, and I had a micro school, which is like 10 students. And one of the things my kiddos would say often is like, I don't understand this subject. And I was like, you don't understand it yet. So if we start implementing the power of yet, I don't understand this yet. So you can still be confused. You can still feel like you can still fail, but it's like, I haven't succeeded yet. I don't understand yet. It goes from disempowering to empowering. It goes from victim to uh victor. So it's just like framing our mind, moving away from that victim mentality of I'm confused, I haven't achieved it, I'm a failure. And now we kind of stay and soak like a reservoir, be a river and say, I haven't figured it out yet. And then whatever obstacles show up, just like, okay, I'm learning that this is part of the process versus we need to, I believe, we need to focus on progress over perfection. And if we focus on progress, taking that next right step, we'll stop being that, we'll stop feeling the need to be perfect because perfection is often comparison. I'm perfect based on all these things versus I'm making progress and therefore I'm moving forward.
Hey, David, but listen to this. I open Instagram and there's a lot of comparison there. Right. This guy is making more than me. This guy has a nicer car than me. Make more, do more. How can the young people shield themselves? And I said Instagram, but any social network that you open or any website you open, it will have this aspirational stuff, sometimes fake, that it's tainting the minds of our people. How do you shield yourself from that, David?
Yeah, it's inevitable, right? It's like saying, you go outside, and if you have the ability to see, like, how do you shield yourself from the sun? You wear sunglasses, and the sunglasses to the emotional, social side of things is building your confidence. I think that the thing that a lot of young people and people my age and the millennials, one of the things we suffer with is confidence, and confidence is this overused word. Like, work on your confidence. Confidence is simply trusting yourself. Is if you say, I'm going to wake up at 6 a.m. and I'm going to get this done, you do the thing, and that over time of your consistency, you begin to trust yourself. So when people aren't confident, essentially, they don't trust themselves to get the thing done. And then if I don't trust myself to get the same thing done, and I see people trusting themselves to get the thing done, and that's why we're like, oh, you're so inspiring. It's because you've done the things that you said you were going to do. So the first thing is building confidence. Once we have confidence, then we can move into celebration versus comparison. If I'm celebrating you, then I can't compare myself to you. And celebration is like, yo, I'm happy for you. This is amazing. I aspire to do that, but you're doing it in your season. Oh, like, good job. So if we can move to celebration, confidence, then what happens is it's like, okay, if they're achieving it, what do I need to work on? Then we work on competence. So when we can work on our skill set, then we don't need to compete anymore. We're just like, oh, I'm developing the skill set that I need versus I'm comparing their outcome to my progress or my starting point. And that's oftentimes what social media is. Like, it's a highlight reel. So people are just like, man, they achieved that, but they don't know the work that they had to put in. Like, a lot of my teammates at the gym, they're just like, Prosper, I want to be an entrepreneur like you. I'm like, are you willing to do the work like me? And oftentimes it's like, no, because there's a lot of behind the scenes work that has to get done that people don't think about. They just see the achievement, but it's the work and the progress. So build your confidence is like your sunglasses. Start celebrating people, build your competence, and you'll start finding yourself not comparing yourself. It's just like, this is my lane and I don't need to compare myself to you.
What does What is the role of courage in making choices? You speak about the role of courage quite a lot. What is the role it plays on choices versus life direction?
Courage is a muscle. And I was telling this to one of my clients the other day. Um, when we don't use our courage muscle, we start using our coward muscles. And if we don't use it, we lose it. Just like our bodies and our minds. Like if we don't use the tools that we have, it eventually becomes sedentary and it becomes weak. So courage is not the absence of fear, but the presence of faith. So you're not going to not be afraid. You just take that step anyways. And courage allows us to step outside of our comfort zone. Like my girlfriend, she just went to Texas yesterday and she bought a trip by herself and she was texting me. She was like, "Babe, I'm so nervous. Um, and I'm stepping out of my comfort zone, but this is growth, right?" And I was like, "Yes," because traditionally I would travel with her, but I'm not traveling with her. Or she would go with someone else. She's doing this by herself. So the more we step into discomfort, the stronger we become. And oftentimes we like to be comfortable and we like to be complacent because it's familiar. But growth and fulfillment doesn't happen in comfort. It happens when we step outside of that. And then it's like the first time we've been on a roller coaster. Like it's scary, but after the first time, you're like, "Oh, I did that. I could do that again. I could do that again." And that's courage. It's just like, "Oh, it's scary, but I did that. I did that. I could do." And then we yearn and we start becoming stronger and just looking forward to doing harder challenges versus like we see a roller coaster, we don't get on a roller coaster and then we're like, "I'm just scared of roller coasters." And there's people who just sit in that coward ecosystem of I'm not courageous and this is my personality. Their cowardice becomes their personality versus their courage become their mindset and belief.
Let's talk a little bit early careers. You mentioned your time at corporate. What's your advice for young people entering the workforce this day and being in the middle of this tidal wave of three generations working together? Something that you mentioned at the beginning, we always did it like this. Well, why want to change things now? What's your advice for them to gain some clarity and understand how the world of work and jobs goes?
Yeah. First and foremost, get a mentor if that is optional. Like seek someone out who who's been in corporate for a long time or who is a leader in that space. And when I first started off my career, I had a lot of mentors, a lot of CEOs and vice presidents would like take me under their wings and ask them questions, like ask them the way of the world. Because at the end of the day, everything is a game. And we have to play the game. So become a competent game player, or we become the pawn that gets played. So it's understanding how to navigate the corporate landscape. And then it starts reflecting on like, what are my skill sets? Is this the long-term lifestyle that I want to continue in? Am I do I naturally fit in a system or am I always trying to recreate a system? And that's the tension I had to wrestle with. Every new system that I would get into, I was always trying to recreate it and redesign it. And my employers was just like, "No, this is the way we're doing things. Let's keep it this way." Even though it was inefficient, I was like, "But we can tweak this and make this happen and increase our sales and revenue here." They're just like, "No, let's keep it this way." So if there's a system that you naturally can conform to and play along and follow through, like that's probably your system. Like 9 to 5 is a very good thing. But if you're always trying to design it, questioning it, challenging it, then entrepreneurship may be an alternative or some form of business owner because that is a huge indicator of you're created to lead and design versus created to follow and to amplify. And there's such a beautiful thing of following and supporting and amplifying and cultivating what's already there. Because there's people who come alongside as supporters of vision, and there's people who drive vision. So as you're navigating the corporate landscape or the work landscape, see if you're a designer, then you lead, or if you're a supporter, then you just make whatever there is better.
David, can you explain your clarity cycle framework and why is it super helpful for navigating decisions?
Yes. So uh the framework, the cycle is like the four seasons. Unconsciously, unconsciously clear, unclear, unconsciously unclear is when you don't know that you don't know. Then you move to unconsciously clear, where you don't know. Let me simplify it even more. So the wanderer is the first one, and there's archetypes of this. The wanderer is going on a journey. It's foggy, and they're just like, "What's happening? I don't know. I'm on this trip, and but I know something needs to change." But they're not doing anything about it. Then they move into the seeker, and the seeker's asking question as the archetype, and they're going to the network events, and then they're consuming so much positive information, personal development things. Then they move into the architect, which they start designing the life that they want. And then the last cycle of the clarity type, uh, they move into the flow master, where they're actually doing things from alignment and they're just flowing. And then I go deeper in my book, which is out on Amazon, Finding Clarity. It the five frameworks of the five C's, this 5C model. The number one is capacity. It's like, do I have the ability to sustain and retain the things that I have in my life? And then they move into the next C, which is competency. Like, do I have the skill set? Can I develop the skill set to get me to move forward? And then the third C is courage. Am I stepping out in faith enough? Am I stretching myself? Am I doing things that scare me that I'm unfamiliar with? And then the fourth C is connection. Who am I connected to that's getting me to move forward? And what am I connected to that moves me forward? And then last C is curiosity. Am I exploring the things around me, or am I just certain in what I know? So there's the cycle, which are those archetypes: wanderer, seeker, architect, and flow master. And then there's the five C's: capacity, competency, courage, connection, and curiosity.
Wow, that's deep, a little bit complex, but it makes a lot of sense, David. How do you coach people to stay confident when they're going through periods of uncertainty, problems, challenges, growth?
I would say it's going to sound so simple in theory, but in practicality, it's going to be hard. Staying confident is cleaning your space, and when I say cleaning your space, it's cleaning your mental space. It's like our phone. If you have too much stuff on your phone starts slowing down, so it's not operating proficiently. So if we're holding on too many emotions, mindsets, belief systems, it's going to slow us down from actually focusing on what truly matters. So clearing space allows us to focus on what matters. So we do that by meditating, by releasing like unforgiveness is a big one when I coach my clients. Like, they have all these goals and they have all these things. And then I ask them a question about somebody that's hurt them. And I say, did you forgive them? And they say no. And I'm like, let's start there. Because when our emotional home is cluttered, then our mental home becomes cluttered. And then our physical home becomes cluttered. And we just become cluttered and we become stuffy. It's like a house that has so much stuff and you just can't move around. You're just like, it just feels weird. But when we start cleaning our physical home, we're like, oh, we feel relaxed. We can move from our amygdala brain, which is our survivor brain, to our prefrontal cortex, what allows us to reason, make decisions that becomes effective and that benefits us long term versus decision that becomes convenient and that is desperate.
You also talk about career pivots quite a lot. What are your recommendations for people when to change careers, when to stay put, or when it's the right time to get out of the comfort zone and then find another job or another company?
Yeah, this is gonna be like countercultural. Like there was a time in history it was called quiet quitting. Employers would say that, but at the end of the day, like there was a time in history too that our parents would work a job for 60 or 30, 40 years, and then they would get this pension, and it was often celebrated like, okay, like you worked X amount of time, you're loyal to this company. That time has changed because employers have this thing called at will, so they can fire you anytime. And I think it shouldn't be like what's in it for me, but it's what's aligned for me right now. And if it makes sense financially, then make the pivot. But they've also found in different studies that when you job hop, you actually increase your salary dramatically. But more than just salary increasing, it should be alignment focused. Does this move me closer to my purpose? Is this in alignment with who I am and how I'm designed? And does this maximize my skill set or does this suppress who I am? So when making decisions, do you come alive in this space or will you come alive in this potential space or will you be deprived in this space? And from those two filtering mechanisms, I would say make the decision on those things. It's just like relationships. Like when you leave a person, do you feel more energized? Then spend more time with them, or do you feel deprived? And you're just like, then we need to limit access. So I would say those would be the milestones and mechanism to make decisions.
What about career planning? Are you advising people to stay on the same career type, or are you a fan of trying other things and trying to find clarity somewhere else?
Again, clarity is the next right step. And when it comes to career planning, when I advise and encourage and support individuals in that space, I don't ask necessarily what job title necessarily that is attractive. I ask the job requirements and the work. Can they see themselves in the work? And going back to what I was saying earlier, like it's the process of things. Does the process seem attractive to them? And if the process does seem attractive to them, the job title is almost irrelevant. Um, and then the location and the lifestyle. So when it comes to career planning, it's what's your purpose? Who do you want to serve? How do you want to serve them? What are the gifts and talents that you have to serve them? And how does this make the world a better place? When you can answer those questions, then now it's filtering, okay, what employer matches those the best, and then you find that beautiful synergy of a diaphragm, of that overlap of like what my gifts and talents, who do I want to serve, all those things, the employers that match it best, and then you take the next right step. And it may not be the best step, but it is a step that moves you forward. And as you get clarity in that step, just like you understand the things that you do like and the things that you don't like, the ineffective leadership versus effective leadership, then you can make that next right step from that place.
David, let's do 5 rapid fire questions, please. Answer in less than 1 minute. Number 1, is clarity something you have or something you develop over time?
Something you develop over time.
Do you think there is people that is naturally born with clarity?
I think it's both.
Number 2, should young people try to have a clear life plan or embrace uncertainty?
Embrace uncertainty.
Number 3, does clarity mean having fixed answer or trusting a process of discovery?
Trusting a process of discovery.
4, what is the biggest myth about clarity that holds people back?
That you have to have everything figured out.
And number 5, is living intentionally more about mindset or action? 50-50?
50-50, mindset and action.
I love that. Thank you, David.
Thank you.
Let's give some advice for young people who maybe feel stuck or confused about the future. What is one clear action, that they can take in the next 24 hours to seek for some clarity?
My advice and my encouragement, because I'm not an expert in anything. I'm a student of life, just walking alongside of you. Practice the art of subtraction. And just like the leaves of a tree falls down during fall, who needs to be removed out of your life in the most loving way? What needs to be removed? I think clarity, we think because we've been so programmed and nurtured to accumulate and consume. I would encourage everyone to what needs to be released in this season. My mother is a Haitian mother, so we would do a lot of spring cleaning as a kid. So we would always stow away things and clean the house. So I would encourage you start cleaning your emotional house, your mental house, your spiritual house before you start taking any step moving forward. So who needs to be removed? Who brings life to your life stays. Who drains your life goes. What things bring life to your life stays. What things that drain your life goes. If you can do those two things, I promise you, you'll get clarity just on subtracting things and people.
Where can the audience find your book and connect with you?
Great question. You can find me on the internet. I'm kidding. At davidbprosper.com. And my social media, I'm on all platforms, but I live on Instagram at David B. Prosper on Instagram. So I would love to connect with you there and on my website.
Amazing. David, thank you so much for your clarity. And for bringing us a little bit closer to have a bit more of a clear mindset. What am I taking away today? Clarity starts with action. Action will give a lot of clarity. Maybe not instantly, but it will come. That's my takeaway from today. David Prosper, thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks for listening to Productivi-Tree. I hope you found something useful in today's episode. If you did, and it helps improve your life even a tiny bit, that'll make me really happy. Remember, you can find Productivi-Tree on all major podcast platforms like Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and Google Podcasts. If you enjoyed the show, why not share it with a friend who might also find it helpful? Until next time, and keep growing and stay productive.